It's the Isupk Brotherhood class, Tuesday night Brotherhood class. I'm Priest and Officer at the Wagga Bar. We're going to go into a little bit about depression. We're going to go into the evil that we commit against one another. And also, we're going to go into knowing who your enemy is, right? So the first precept, first of all, is there any questions in the room? First of all, any questions? None at all? No sweat.
So, okay, so
Go ahead, Nelson.
you know how like you got the audio and everything?
Mm-hmm.
It's showing up on the actual live.
I see what you're saying. So what you want to do is where it says display, hit that and see if that it's a little button that is DISP.
Come.
Hit that and you'll have to look there. So
I get the screen to go on black?
you might have to use this monitor because it might be you'll see what you do up there, you'll see it on that monitor.
Okay, come. I took the volume thing off, but it still got like the little numbers and stuff on the bottom.
Yeah, no sweat. That's what you can see on live?
Come.
You can see that on live? All right.
It's not bad, but it's just on the bottom.
It's right there.
And it's like keeps pinpointing your face too.
So what we can do is let's switch cameras.
Come.
Do you think we can do that while we live? Just unplug it and put the other one in?
Come. Yeah, we can do that.
Sure. Let's do that. So lock here for the technical difficulties. We testing out a new camera. We're trying to upgrade, try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And so just give us a second, we're gonna get it right. Make sure that you can move that one. Once you unplug that one, you can move that newer one. And just make sure that we get this screen because I want to get this. I want to keep it a little interactive.
Come.
And young man, if you could hit the AC for me. You know how to work it? You put it on and cool, basically.
It's the one, sir.
We good?
Come.
We test audio. We good? Test. So young man, if you could, so we're gonna go into depression. I want to bring out a story. If you could read that story. Do we am I on this audio right here?
Come. Yeah,
okay. If you could come a little closer. I want you to come a little closer so you can read the story. This sister, she was a Miss America, right? She was one time Miss America. The sister was a beautiful sister, Chelsea Chris, right? She committed suicide. She was depressed, right? So go ahead and read a little bit of that story that I sent you.
Former Miss USA Chelsea Chris penned a heart-rending essay last year reflecting on the
So hold on. So I want you to slow it down. Read that one more time, that paragraph. Read it again and slow it down and read a little louder.
Former Miss USA Chelsea Chris penned a heart-rending essay last year reflecting on the pressures of getting older, the need to achieve, and her battle with online trolls.
So this sister was feeling pressure of getting older and pressure from perfect strangers, online trolls, people that you don't even know, that, people say things all the damn time online on burner accounts and you'll never know who they are, right? This sister was feeling pressure from that. Keep reading.
And her battle with online trolls who bullied her over her looks. Chris, 30, who tragically jumped to her death from her Midtown High rise Sunday morning.
This sister jumped to her death from her high rise in Midtown, where? Manhattan? She lived in New York. She jumped from a high rise, 60 floors, to her death, man. 30 years old. I want you to skip down. There's a part of, she wrote an essay where she talks about getting old, where she talks about becoming age 30 and becoming upset, infuriated, right? If you could find that for me.
Why it works so hard to capture your dreams.
Go ahead and read it.
She says, why work so hard to capture the dreams I've been taught by society to want when I continue to only find emptiness?
So this sister said, and that's not the part I want. You might have to go down a little bit. Where she's talking about reaching a certain age and not being important anymore.
A grinny, crinkly-eyed glance at my achievements thus far makes me giddy about laying the groundwork for more. But turning 30 feels like a cold reminder that I'm running out of time to matter in society's eyes.
So this sister cringed at the thought that turning 30 years old, she was running out of time to matter in society's eyes, man. That's vanity. To want to feel important. That's what social media is all about. This society, and especially this younger generation, it's all about wanting to be seen, wanting to feel important. But growing old is a part of life. Growing old is something that we all got to do. You remember when you was younger, when you was little man? How old is little man? The little brother right there. How old is? 10 years old. I'd probably go a little further. You remember when you was about 8, 7, 6, and you couldn't wait to get older, right? Because getting older is a part of life. You're going to get older, right? I done got a couple of gray hairs in my beard. That's a sign of getting older. You know what I mean? I don't cringe at the fact of like, oh, I'm getting older. Or, my basketball heroes are the people that I looked at in sports. They getting older, right? And it reminds me of my age. But this sister was going through it in her mind and depressed over the fact that she was getting older. I want you to read what you first read about accomplishments with this sister.
Why work so hard to capture the dreams I've been taught by society?
She said, why work so hard to capture the dreams I've been taught by society? Keep going. To want when I continue to only find emptiness, man. Now, this sister had a lifestyle. Just look at the sister. Look at the sister. This sister is absolutely beautiful, man. This sister had a lifestyle that a lot of people would be envious of. And they would want her lifestyle. And they'll say, what's wrong? What's the issue? The sister got to a point where she felt like all her accomplishments, I don't know if it tells you all her accomplishments, but she had an MBA. She went to Wake Forest. She also was a lawyer. Then she was she worked for ET Entertainment News on the red carpet. She had a lot of things, and she was the former USA America Miss USA. So she had a lot of accolades, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of education, all of those things that this society say, go get it, go get it, go get it. This sister is a tragedy. What happened to this sister, and what happened to her is a product of integration. What happened to this sister is a product of the women's empowerment movement, the independent womanism. What happened to this sister? because at the end of the day, she felt like she didn't have any purpose. She felt like, what did I do it all for? She felt like getting old is useless, and in one stance, one of those articles, she said she was infuriated at the thought of getting old and not, being a nobody in people's eyes, right? So, brother, give me Psalms 34 and 17, man, because this sister was going through it and she was fighting demons in her mind, right? And a lot of times, what we do is we get, especially with women, they're so emotional, they follow their emotions, they follow their feelings, right? And that's what this sister did, and she jumped off of a building 60 floors, man. I want Psalms chapter 34 verse 17.
The book of Psalms, chapter 34 and verse 17. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles.
Right. I'm Salakia. Read that one more time.
The book of Psalms, chapter 34 and verse 17. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles.
When you going through it, man, all you got to do is cry out to the Lord. You got to cry out to the Lord. That's verse 17. You got to cry out to the Lord, and the Lord will hear you. He will deliver you out of your troubles. He will deliver you from those demons that's plaguing you in your mind. He will deliver you from those insecurities that you go through. Keep reading.
Verse 18. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saith such as be of a contrite spirit.
The Lord is near to those of a broken heart and a contrite spirit, right? The Lord is not dealing with the proud or the people that think they know it all, or the people that lean on their own thoughts, and the people that said, I'm a figure this out on my own. The Lord wants somebody that has a contrite spirit, a broken spirit, somebody who is meek, somebody is humble, somebody that it said, listen, I can't do it anymore. Help me, right? You can drop that. Somebody give me Matthew 11 and 28. Matthew 11 and 28. Man, this is sad, man. And our people go through depression on a daily basis. And society thinks that Black and Hispanic people are not depressed. You know why society thinks that Black and Hispanic people don't get depressed and, don't go through it mentally? Because we find a way out of no way. A lot of times you see us smile through hardships. We danced and had fun during slavery, right? We make light of horrible situations. We're able to still smile through horrible situations. Meanwhile, we have all of the mental problems and all of the things going on within ourselves, the same as any other race, right? But no one counts us when we're going through something. We're just violent, and we just got issues. We got behavior problems. They don't look at us like we have mental deficiencies or we have traumas, right? Go ahead, Ak.
The book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. Come unto me, all ye that labor are heavy laden, I will give you rest.
The Lord said, come to me, all of you that labor. Salakia. Read it from the top again.
The book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest.
The Lord said he will give us rest. That we're heavy, we have heavy burdens on us, right? We have a lot to carry on a daily basis. We live in a hellish condition in America. Like if it ain't one thing, it's another. It's another person, a person is passing away, then this person passed away, family members passing away, right? Your job is trying to fire you, right? Somebody in your family got COVID. There's so many things that's going on with Black and Hispanic people. We are carrying a heavy load, but that load, Christ is saying, bring it to me, right? Go ahead. Keep reading.
Verse 29. take my yoke upon you and learn of me.
The Lord said, take his yoke and learn of him. Learn of who? A black man from the hood, Jesus Christ from the hood, a black man that was perfect and that we could be just like him. We can rise up out of our situation, right? And it don't have to be so heavy. When you learn this truth, you start to feel a little lighter. The load ain't so hard when you find out, hey, I'm not supposed to be doing a lot of things that I'm doing. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I'd probably be doing a lot better. I probably have a better spirit, right? I probably be in good spirits. I probably wouldn't be so burdened down with everything and complaining and, if it is this, is that, right? You could drop that out. Give me Ecclesiasticus 38:1. See, because when we're going through problems and we're mourning our loved ones and, we have mental deficiencies and we have things that's going on with us in our mind, we got to know to seek help. And like I know in the black community, we don't like to go seek help. We don't like to go to the hospital. We don't like to do none of that, right? We'd rather just try to figure it out and work it out at home. But this is what the Bible says. Ecclesiasticus 38:1.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38, verse 1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him.
The Bible says to honor a physician with the honor due to him, right? Go to the doctor. That's what you do. Go to the doctor, go to the therapist, and find out what's going on with you. A lot of times it might not be, it could just be something chemical, right? Now you having all these thoughts in your head, it could be that it's something that's passed down through your father or your mother. And it very well might be a diagnosis that you might have to take some medication or something like that. But if you don't know, you don't know. This is a story that was recent, and we're going to talk about this sister, this 16-year-old sister that was found shot in the neck, dead, thrown on the side of the freeway, the 110 out here in LA. But at the same time, it was a white girl that she was from the Midwest. She was going to school out here, and a brother killed her, right? Some brother that was always roaming around the city ended up stabbing her to death. And the reason why I started to pay attention, because they played the story so much. They played the story over and over again. And everybody's talking about, oh, we glad they got them off the streets and they happy, they feel more safer. And when you seen the picture of the brother, I knew right away that the brother had some type of mental problems. You know how you can look at some people and you can see right away something is wrong with them. They're not all the way there. So as the story started to go on, they reported that he was from Virginia. His family or his aunt said that he had mental problems, right? So now white people is condemning him as just a murderer, a criminal, and the whole time he's just a black man with mental problems living on the street. And then he end up killing somebody, right? So we have a lot of problems in the black community that don't get diagnosed. And people look over that and just say, oh, he's a criminal. Oh, this is just a bad child. This child is just unruly. Meanwhile, there's some type of problem, some type of physical ailment, some mental disorder going on that has never been diagnosed or even considered, right? Keep reading. You on what? You on verse 1? Keep reading.
For the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him.
So the Lord have created doctors, man. You can't just pray away illness. You can't just pray away something that's going on with you, right? You got to go seek help. If you know that you can't stop drinking and you got an alcohol problem, then you're going to have to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. You're going to have to talk to somebody. You're going to have to, if the doctor tells you, hey, listen, you're having too much to drink, you need to slow down, then you know you have a problem. But you won't know you have a problem if you don't go to a doctor, if you don't seek help. The same way with mental disorders. You won't know you have a problem unless you talk to a professional. And in the ISUPK, we advise you to go to the doctor. We advise you to talk to professionals and to get therapy. We also advise you to get counsel. You can get counsel. We offer free counsel, free counseling for whatever problems you may have, right? You can drop that out. Give me Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 5. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, right?
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean unto thine own understanding.
The Bible says to trust in the Lord with all your heart. You got to trust on the Lord, man. How do you trust on the Lord? You get right here in class, man. Learn these precepts, learn the law, learn what's required of you, learn what you should do and what you shouldn't do, learn how to live, and trust in the Lord. Trust in these scriptures, man. And don't lean on your own understanding. See, when you take your own life, you're leaning on your own understanding. And like I said, you're emotional. You're emotional and you're going with your feelings, man. That's what's going on. You go with your feelings, and at the end of the day, you are a murderer because you took your own life, right? The Lord gave you life and you took your own life because you leaned on your own understanding and not on the Lord. Is that it on it?
Verse 6.
Give me verse 6.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
In all thy ways acknowledge the Lord, right? From the time you get up in the morning to the time you lay down, from the time when you see something that everybody don't understand, from the time that you see something that is a tragedy, always meditate on the things of the Lord, man. Lean not on your own understanding and go to your own thing. You know what happens when you lean on your own understanding? Not only would you do something like this, you take your own life, right? You'll start to say the earth is flat. You'll start to say that, what are some things that people say? You start to say that the Bible ain't real, right? You start to say that, yeah, we are gods. You start to come up with all of these ideologies and these trains of thought and doctrines because you start to lean on your own understanding. You start to say, oh yeah, T-Bone, he got his wings when your family member die, as though like a lot of black people think that we become angels when we pass away, right? Because they lean on their own understanding, right? But when you lean on your own understanding, you're bound for error. You're bound to, start to believe something that is not of the Most High. And you're bound to go on a lane straight to destruction, man. You're going to destroy yourself because the Lord's ways are wisdom and understanding and knowledge. That knowledge and wisdom is what will get you out of the way of harm. That knowledge and wisdom is what will make you make good decisions. That knowledge and wisdom is what will make you realize that you're just going through something that people go through all the time, and it's not nothing deep, right? And you don't have to jump off a 60-story building, right? Keep going.
Verse 7. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil.
Yeah, don't be wise in your own eye. Don't think that you know it all. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. You know what it is to fear the Lord? It's to know that the Lord has the power of life and death in his hands. In Deuteronomy, what is that? Deuteronomy 32:29. If I'm correct, the Lord says, I kill, I heal, and I make alive. He says that I wound, I do all of these things to people, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I'm paraphrasing, right? The Lord, to fear the Lord is to know that the Lord is the maker of everything, and to know that you got billions of people on this planet, and that people die every day. The Lord could take your life in a blink of an eye. A lot of times, people are just wasting air here living, right? Because they hate the Lord, they're rebellious, they don't want to change. And so the fear of the Lord is to know that the Lord could take you out at any time and to be thankful, right? Because people pass away. Every day that you wake up, somebody passed away that night. Every morning that you're on your way to school or work, somebody died. Out here, somebody died every day on the freeway, at least one person, right? So it's to be thankful. It's to be appreciative of your life. It's to fear the Lord. Right? You could drop that. Give me Proverbs 12 and 25. Proverbs 12 and 25, man. And this shows you that with this sister, like I said, she got to a point where she felt empty, right? And she felt like she had no purpose. That's a horrible thing. That's why Christ came. Christ came to give us the kingdom again, to teach us again. The reason why Christ came is to give us life, man. Now, this sister lived a life, like I said, that people would be envious of. They would say, man, I wish I had that life. I wish I could live in a New York high rise. You got to understand how much money you're probably paying on rent. I mean, I know it's in a couple of $1,000s a month, right? To have that type of lifestyle, to be on the red carpet talking to stars, to be a lawyer, to have all the education that she had, all of those accomplishments that this sister had, but yet she felt empty. She felt like she had no purpose when the Lord gave a woman a purpose. Proverbs 31, the Lord give you a breakdown of a woman with purpose, right? If you go to Genesis 2 and 18, the Lord created the woman as a companion to man. This sister didn't even have a husband, man. A beautiful sister like this with all of these accomplishments. And that's what this society did to her, man. This sister should have been married with children, man. Being a righteous wife to a priest of the Lord. Now she's in a goddamn body bag because she believed in America and what this society taught her, right? And she leaned on her own understanding. She tried to make sense of it all, and in her own understanding, she took her own life. You got that? You got it.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 12, and verse 25. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop.
Heaviness in the heart of man maketh him stoop, maketh him be down. You know, when you see a brother's countenance and he's down, he's like, oh man, this child support, man. I don't know. It just took, most of my check. I don't know what I'm gonna do. My roommate tripping, or, oh man, I ain't got it, man, for Christmas, man. A lot of things that we go through and we put pressure on ourselves be things we shouldn't be doing anyway, or worried about, right? But heaviness in the heart of man. Read it from the top again.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 12, and verse 25. Heaviness in the heart of a man, maketh it stoop.
Make it his heart stoop. His heart being his mind, making him down, making him depressed, making her emotional and depressed, and going through it and fighting demons in your head. Keep reading.
But a good word maketh it glad.
But a good word maketh it glad. Like to hear some good news. You ever see somebody be down and then they hear some good news and then they just brighten up and their whole countenance change and their whole attitude change? You especially Judites here, they getting some money and they whole aura change. They get to talking and dancing. It's the same thing when Black and Hispanic people, when somebody about to eat. You ever see somebody change, they find out they finna eat, they start dancing and, talking and happy. But a good word brings life into you. And you see somebody down for something and you speak something good to them, you can brighten them up. You never know what your brothers and sisters is going through. So it's always good to check on your brothers and sisters, man. It's always good to hit a brother up. If you ain't heard from him in a while, just see what's going on. If you got friend or family that lost a loved one or somebody significant, you hit them up. You know what I mean? You go see them, go have a drink with them, go encourage them. You know what I mean? A good word will encourage a brother or a sister and lift their spirits up. Right? You can go ahead and drop that. Let's get Give me 2 Timothy 1:7. So I think I said it. When people are depressed and then they commit suicide, they are leaning on their own understanding. They are emotional and they are murderers of their self. It's like murder. It's like taking a life. When you take your life, that is murder. And you know what the Bible says about murder. So the Lord didn't give us that type of spirit. The Lord gave us this type of spirit. Let's read 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 17. Second Timothy chapter 1, verse 17.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 17. But when he was in Rome,
Salakia. It might be, is it verse 7?
for God had not given us.
Yeah, Salakia. Verse 7.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God had not given us the spirit of fear.
The Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear. This sister also expressed that she had fear of getting old. And like I said, that's something that we all going to do. That's something that's a part of life, right? The Bible also says that if you, well, I'm paraphrasing, it says that if you faint during adversity, your strength is small, right? We're supposed to be strong. Little things like that ain't supposed to get to us. But this society has brainwashed us to think that life is supposed to be a certain way. And our Christian leaders have brainwashed us to think that life is supposed to be a certain way. But really, our life is supposed to be the life that our ancestors lived in these scriptures, right? Keep reading.
But of power and of love.
But of power. Power, right? You're supposed to have power. You ain't supposed to be weak. You ain't supposed to be moved by small things. You ain't supposed to be walking around with your head low and depressed and in your mind. Now, but if you are, the first thing to do is to seek help and get diagnosed, right? To see if it's really not just a mind thing, but it's an actual chemical imbalance, right? Because it's some things that happen to us that we go through that we can't help. We need medicine for. We need real therapy for, right? But also a good word, especially the word of the Lord, could pull you right up out of that depression, right? Keep reading.
But of power and of love and of a sound mind.
And of a what?
And of a sound mind.
A sound mind. Being in your right mind, man. Being in the right spirit. And a lot of times you throw in weed. You throw in, drugs on top of a lot of brothers and sisters that already have mental problems, mental disorders, are diagnosed with certain things, and then they take drugs. That makes it even worse. The Lord gave us, he wanted us to have no fear, have love, have power, and have a sound mind, man. Right? You can drop that. So we're going to drop that. We're going to move on. I want to get the story, if you could, of the sister Tioni Theus. Tioni Theus. Let me see. Let me get a picture of this sister. Now, this sister Lucky. Let's see. That's not big enough. I want something big. Put it right there. You got that story? I'll go ahead and read it. Now I'm gonna just go and give a backdrop of what happened. So a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was in the beginning of January, probably around January 8th. This sister, 16-year-old sister, was found thrown on the side of the 110 freeway in LA. And they've been on a hunt for whoever did this to this sister. Her mother had been hit on a hit and run. She's in the hospital. And so the young sister was, at the time living with her father. So that's the backdrop to this story. Go ahead, Art.
A vigil was held for 16-year-old Dionysius. The teen was found dead alongside the one.
Could you ask people anybody that's in the class right now online, give me a 1 if you can hear the reader. Let me see. We live on where we at? We on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook is what? One West? You know, all right. Let me see. Let me see. It's low. If you could come back up. Come back up. Yes. So go ahead.
A vigil was held for 60-year-old Dionysius. The teen was found dead alongside the 110 freeway earlier in the month. During the vigil outside the Los Angeles Police Department, 77th Street Station in South Los Angeles, Chief Michael Moore spoke with friends and family. Moore.
You said what? They can barely hear him. I want you to what I want you to do is just skip up, right? To where? No, I want you to Salaki, come over here and get on the mic. I want you to read it on the mic so that everybody can hear it. Baba Shah. Okay. Yes, sir. Start them over here. Come right here. Start from the top.
Start from the top.
Yeah, start from the top.
A vigil was held for 16-year-old Dionysius. The teen was found dead alongside the 110 freeway earlier in the month. During the vigil outside the Los Angeles Police Department's 77th Street Station in South Los Angeles, Chief Michelle Moore spoke with friends and family. Moore pleaded with the public for answers as LAPD believes Theus was brutally murdered. The teen's body was dumped on the on-ramp of the 110 freeway on West Manchester Avenue near South Figueroa Street. The California Highway Patrol found her body on January 8th.
January 8th. Right?
Come on, come on.
Is that it on it?
I'm going to read this.
All right, that's good. That's good. The water. Just stay right here, because just in case I need you to read something else. So this young sister, was thrown on the freeway like some trash, man. If you could, not to say, get me among my people are wicked men. You can you can go ahead and have a seat. This sister was thrown on the side of the road, right? And now, what is not in that story is what's going on. What was her living condition? And like I said earlier, her living condition was her mother months ago was in a hit and run. Somebody hit her mother, so her mother is hospitalized. She's in a wheelchair, and she was living with her father. But I'm gonna play this interview, and as you can see, her father don't seem like the brother seemed like he done been through some hard things too. But she was supposed to be living with her father, but she was a young sister going through it from a broken home, like a lot of sisters go through it. A lot of young brothers go through it, and the sheriff, the Los Angeles sheriff, have said that they have confirmed that this was a case of human trafficking, and she was found in the area where it's what we would call the whole stroll, right? Where there's a lot of young girls being pimped and pushed out there in the streets to sell themselves. She was found shot in the neck, and like I said again, at 8 o'clock in the morning by a busy freeway, right? And so right now the community is infuriated, and they've put up $100,000 to find whoever knows whatever happened to this sister. I believe they buried her this past weekend. So I'm gonna play this from the father, and there's some points I want to go over on what this father is talking about with his daughter, right? So lock it. If you could Not could you turn the TV up and see if we can turn it up a little more? Barbara Shaw. You just put that right there. Oh. Bear with us online. Yeah, so this sister, she was just a baby, and you see this happens a lot in our community, the Black and Hispanic community, and the Native American community. A lot of sisters that are thought to have came up missing end up being coerced and put into into sex trafficking, right? Pimping. And a lot of times you think they be missing or somebody done snatched them and killed them. And you find them, they find them later with some pimp, some older man, right? And our young daughters are vulnerable to what's going on in this world, man. Everybody is preying on them. And so we have to be vigilant with our children. You know what? I think the button is under there. So when you press it and it gets on the volume, you just gotta hold it and it lift it. It's in the middle. Yeah, it's in the middle. I'll let you know. Go ahead and press it. Press it. Press it. Hold it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Hold it. There we go. There we go. Most High in Christ. So I'm gonna play this.
She was crying, I kissed her, gave her a hug. I know it's gonna be the last kiss. She just left. So I picked her up, she was crying, I kissed her, gave her a hug. I know it's gonna be the last kiss. But I feel good telling her I love her.
On another top story, the murder of Tioni Theus, her father speaking out, remembering his 16-year-old daughter, whose body was found on the side of a freeway off-ramp in South LA. It's been 2 weeks since Theus was killed, and the questions surrounding
Darian Jackson's baby girl was Tioni Theus. The 16-year-old was found shot to death at the Manchester on-ramp of the 110 freeway in South LA. The night before, she told her dad she was going to a party.
She just left. So I picked her up, she was crying, I kissed her, gave her a hug. I know it's gonna be the last kiss. So I feel like something was really wrong that night when she came. I begged her to stay. I said, just stay with me.
Tioni had struggled since her mother was so badly injured in a hit and run. The mom is now living in a rehabilitation facility due to her injuries.
She said, nobody loved me. Because her mom, she's the only person that loved me was my mom. I said, that's not true. I love you.
Tioni's case is in the hands of CHP investigators who say they don't believe she was shot where she was found. Her family has been holding vigils, trying to get more coverage for the case, which has gotten less attention than other recent murders, like that of furniture store employee Brianna Kaffer in Hancock Park.
It's troubling and disturbing because she was a young girl, 16 years old, who was shot to death and body was dumped in the freeway like she was garbage.
We live in two different worlds.
You hear that?
The rich people, and you got the poor people.
To death and body was dumped in the freeway.
I want you to listen to what her dad just said. He said, we live in two different worlds. You got the rich people and you got the poor people. That's the breakdown that the ISUPK, that's the John 3:16 breakdown that we've been trying to tell Christians, that we live in two different worlds. There's more than one kind of world, right? You got the Arab world, you got the world of golf, you got the basketball world, and you have our world. When we go home, we go to the hood. When they go home, they go to the hills, right? And that's what now he's not in the truth, but that's what he just illustrated in his pain. He said, we live in two different worlds. Listen to him.
Like she was garbage.
We live in two different worlds. You got the rich people and you got the poor people, or middle class people, and we on the other side. You know, if I was a rich person, they probably would have found the killer by now. Who knows?
Good night. And her father said, if I was rich, they probably would have found the killer. And like if you was listening earlier, I said there was a killing at the same time with a white girl that they gave her a lot of publicity. The story ran and ran and ran, and with this sister was neglected, right? But he said we live in two different worlds. But I want to get into it with the sister is that she was going through it and she came from a dysfunctional family. And these are the type of sisters and brothers that are preyed upon. You don't sisters that come from good families are not on stripper poles and are not on the whole stroll. It's the sisters that come from broken homes. It's the sisters that come from stressed out situations. It's the sisters that have to grow up at a young age and take care of their siblings, right? Brother, if you could give me Deuteronomy 23 and 17.
I don't want to. So like Deuteronomy 23 and 17.
Deuteronomy 23 and 17.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel.
The Bible says that there shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel, right? And also, as a son of Israel, you shouldn't be trying to make the daughters of Israel whores and pimp them out, right? Go ahead on.
So like, what is a sodomite?
A sodomite is well, let's get the definition. Get the definition. What do you think it's saying? Let's get the definition for the edification for the people online. Sodomite. You got it?
It's loading. It's taking forever. So
no sweat. For time, go ahead. You got it.
Click the definition. I got it right here.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Not like if you could move the camera a little bit this way.
The definition, the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of sodomite, one who practices sodomy.
Read it one more time.
The Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of sodomite, one who practices sodomy. I got it right here too. Read the definition of sodomy.
Yeah.
The Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of sodomy, anal or oral copulation with a member of the same or opposite sex.
That's sodomy, right? That's what it is. Basically a homosexual. So it's speaking, read it from the top, read that scripture again from the top. Speaking to sisters and brothers. Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Where are we at? Deuteronomy 23 and 17.
Come on. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel.
Right. So the Lord is speaking to Israelites. So the fact that the Lord had to make a law like this tells you that this was going on back then, right? Whenever you see something, there's a law, just know that it's there for a reason. It's there because people back then was doing it, right? Is that it on it? Read it from the top one more time. But what I was saying about that is that there should be no whores of the daughters of Israel, but Black and Hispanic men should not make them whores either, right? And that's what they've confirmed in this case. This little sister was taken advantage of, right? And somewhere, somehow, she got into that dark industry in the streets where someone was taking advantage of her while she going through it because her mother is in the hospital and she's feeling unloved. Her father said in an interview, she said she felt like nobody loved her. And look where that put her. and put her on the side of a freeway with a bullet in her neck. Right? Give me Ecclesiasticus 7:24.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 7, verse 24. Hast thou daughters?
Do you have daughters? What the scripture is, it has a question mark, right? Keep reading.
Hast thou daughters? Have a care of their body?
Have a care of their body. As a father, you have to watch over your daughters and have a care over their body. Go ahead.
And shew not thyself cheerful toward them?
And show not yourself cheerful toward them. You got to be strict with your daughters. Why? Because you don't want to raise a daughter that don't feel like anybody loves her. You don't want to raise a daughter that becomes a whore, right? You don't want to raise a daughter that is on Instagram twerking, right? You have to be involved and you have to watch over your daughters, right? Is that it on it? What I asked for? You can drop that. Give me Ecclesiastes 10 and 12.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 12. The words of a wise man's mouth are gracious.
Salakia, Ecclesiasticus. Salakia.
Ecclesiasticus 10 and 12.
Salakia. I don't know if I'm Salaki, you can drop that. Just you can drop that one. Trying to figure out what I asked for. Was it Ecclesiastes 10 and 12?
Come on.
Look it up real quick. Let me look it up.
Ecclesiastes 10 and 12.
No sweat, we can drop that. When they had the press conference, they said that the community failed the sister. But I say that the leaders failed this sister. I say that the Christian church failed this sister. Why do I say that? Give me Jeremiah 23 and 1. The reason why I say that the leaders in the Christian church failed this sister is because they are the ones that are supposed to be shepherding God's people. They are the ones that are supposed to be teaching God's people. Like when I first heard this story and they said human trafficking, for some reason, I thought that it was more like, what you call that when they, organ harvesting. That's what I was thinking in my mind, right? So I realized human trafficking is like pimping. That's what human trafficking is. That's what the white man calls pimping when he charges you. He charges you with human trafficking. Why? Because you're threatening a woman, you're beating a woman, and you're coercing the woman, especially young girls, to do these things. And so I was thinking along the lines of, Kendrick Johnson. Anybody know who Kendrick Johnson is? The young brother that was rolled up in the gym mat. And then when they exhumed his body, he was stuffed with newspaper. They had took all his organs out, right? So I was thinking along the lines of that when I heard human trafficking. And so even though it wasn't that, it still angered me because I have 3 daughters, right? 3 young daughters that one day will grow up, you understand? So as Black and Hispanic men, if you have daughters, you have to be on your daughters. You have to watch over your daughters. You have to teach your daughters. You have to put in them this law of the Lord, right? You have to, protect your daughters. And so it still hurt me because I thought about the sisters that are missing by the tens of thousands. I thought about the Native American women that are missing, the Hispanic sisters that are missing, the little boys and girls that are missing. And I thought about it like this. I said, when they make movies about this, and this is real. Sex trafficking is real. have rescued white women out of sex trafficking. They have movies on it. But what about Black and Hispanic women? Think about the horror. And I try to put myself in that position and think about the horror and the confusion that a Black woman must be going through, Hispanic woman must be going through, waking up in some goddamn dungeon, waking up tied up and bound and drugged up. And I got so mad that I just thought, like, I wish that I could just have the power to just appear in the room, to appear in those places and cut the heads off of whoever is doing this to our people. You understand that? I wish that I had that power. One day we will get that power. One day a Black man will return. Jesus Christ will return. And we will get that power. And everything that the so-called white man got going on, and all of his sex rings, and all of the things that he has done to Black and Hispanic people that is hidden, will be revealed. And his face, and everybody in the world will know who the devil is. And he will feel the shame of being revealed, right? So you can drop that. I want to get to this brother, Peter Bernardo Spencer. This is a brother that was a Jamaican brother that came over here, and he had white friends. And his white friend hit him up on Snapchat to come to a little get together. His pregnant wife dropped him off, and within about 2 hours of him getting dropped off, he was killed. All right. If you could get that story for me that I sent you.
Come on. The man Peter Bernardo Spencer, 29, of Pittsburgh, was shot multiple times at a Rockland Township residence December 12th. Pennsylvania State Police said this month the 4 individuals who were present at the time of the shooting were questioned and released after consultation with the Venango County District Attorney.
Right.
Police said in a statement. Officials also urged patience as investigators await ballistics data and toxicology and laboratory test results. Venango County District Attorney Sean White said Tuesday that while he recognized the family's push for information, his office must conduct a thorough investigation. The reports are expected to be complete and submitted within 4 to 6 weeks, he said. Upon receipts of these reports, the district attorney will review all available information prior to making a charging decision.
So this is what I want you to get. Get me Zechariah 11:5. Now this brother, like I said, he got dropped off. I'm gonna read you a more detailed story off of Facebook. So his family is calling this a modern day lynching. So on December 11, Peter Bernardo Spencer was invited through Snapchat to a co-worker/friend's cabin in rural Venango County, Pennsylvania, near Grove City. He was the only indigenous, melanated, whatever that means. He was the only Black man or Black person there, and the only individual who ended up dead. Peter and his pregnant fiance had agreed that she was to pick him up that evening after she dropped him off around 2:30 p.m. Immediately after she drove away, she received a text saying that he was going to stay the night, which is out of character. His text was out of character. Salakia. When she called him, he never answered. She proceeded to still leave. His mother called around 6 p.m. and her call went straight to the voicemail. So the man, it says the man who shot him claimed they were intimidated by Peter and they had to shoot him in self-defense. The autopsy report shows he was shot 9 times, twice in the buttocks, 6 in the torso, and 1 directly into the mouth. The buttock shot suggests he was running away, especially because his body was found in the driveway, a sizable distance from the cabin. The torso shots were so close you could see the burn marks from the barrel, also suggesting his body would have needed to be turned over. The last shot was close range directly into the mouth. They won't release the ballistics report, but the coroner kept saying they're suggesting there were multiple bullets from multiple guns. They opened fire on Peter. So they say, how is this self-defense if the person is running away? So they have not been able to get any information. And this brother, unfortunately, is dead and he has a baby on the way. Now, this is a Jamaican immigrant family. So a lot of times, brothers and sisters that come from Haiti, Jamaica, or whatever, they don't realize the energy that they dealing with when you dealing with the so-called white man. You think that they're your friends, right? You think that because they're your co-workers, everything is good, and they don't have those antennas up, right? Unfortunately, this brother lost his life, right? So give me Zechariah 11 and 5. And before you start reading that, what I want to also say is that there were four white men involved in this, and nobody has been, brought to justice. Nothing has been done about it. And the family, his mother and his brother, I believe, and his wife are trying to get answers. So go ahead, Aunt.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
So time and time again, when something like this happens, what you see is white people come together and they try to protect their people. They try to, hold off the onslaught that they're going to get from black and Hispanic people rising up and protesting, and keep it shh, 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 and not speak about it, right? And so they hold themselves not guilty. They don't want to be found guilty. And this is something that's in their spirit. Why do I say that? I say that because historically, this has always been the case. Even now, they don't want to be held guilty for what they did to the North American Indians. They don't want to be held guilty for what they did to the Negroes. They don't want to be held guilty for what they did to the Mexicans, right? They would rather get away with it and protect one another. Read it from the top one more time.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
And white people get angry when they have to face reality and be held accountable for their actions and for their forefathers' actions, right? They simply do not want to do it. So what I want you to do is give me Ecclesiasticus 7 and 24. This is something that Black and Hispanic people must remember. You do have to work with white people. You do have a white boss. You do have to deal with them. You do have to interact with them. That's part of being in America. Not only that, that's part of, business. A lot of times you hear us in the UPK talk about a separation. We gotta separate, and we mean that. We mean you need to spiritually and mentally separate. You have to separate from their ways. You have to separate from their holidays. You have to separate. But you are going to have to deal with them where? You're going to have to deal with them in business. You're going to have to deal with them at work. You're going to have to deal with them in sports. Like, that's what the thing I say, like, we're forced, like, for the most part in America, everybody sticks to their own kind, except when it comes to buying and selling, like, stores and malls and all of that. When it comes to sports, people love to mix, sports will have you thinking that we all bleed red and we're the same. That's what organized sports will have you feeling and thinking. If you ever play organized sports, you're playing with Hispanics, Arabs, white people, and you're all on the same team. And so that will have you start to think in a way that we all bleed red. We're all the same. We're all human. We all have hopes and dreams. But getting back to the point, everybody usually sticks to their own kind. And these are the only times we actually mix. Buying and selling, stores, school, right? Sports, where else? And work. Those are the places where you're forced to be around other nations and other races. Go ahead and read that out.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 7, verse 24. Hast thou daughters? Have a care of their body?
So, Salaki, you said, what is that? Ecclesiastes what?
Ecclesiasticus 7 and 24.
So, like, give me Deuteronomy 23 and 6. Salaki. Before that, give me Deuteronomy 7:3 before you read that. Now, this is unfortunate that this brother, lost his life like that. This is another young brother that didn't know what time it was. And a lot of times we don't teach we don't at all. I ain't going to say a lot of times, we don't do it at all. Teach our children who we are and who they are, right? Go ahead, I.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
So in the law, the Lord never wanted us to mix with other races. The Lord never wanted Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, the children of Israel, to mix with any other race. Now, you might think that that's bad. That's racist. It is racist. The Lord is racist. You might think that that is wrong as a Christian. But when you look at other nations of people, they don't like for their children to mix with Black and Hispanic people. Like if an Asian woman bring home a Black man, that she will be disowned by her parents. In the East Indian, they put their daughters to death when they what you call it, when you disgrace the family, when you do something that brings shame to them, like going outside of your race, right? It's natural. The so-called Jewish man or the Jew, he don't mix with anybody, right? You got all of these people that don't mix with other nations of people on purpose. It only happens in America where people are brainwashed to think of us as a melting pot of cultures and diversity, right? But in the old world, this is the Western world, but in the old world, in those countries, they don't believe in that, man. If you a Black man and you go to China, you will get stared at all day, all long. Like everybody will look at you like, why are you here? They'll look at you like you are an alien, right? Probably ask you, do you know Snoop Doggy Dogg or Eddie Murphy, right? But these cultures stick to themselves. So it's not out of the ordinary. It's just because we've been brainwashed through Christianity in America that we think that it's wrong to only love our people, to only love, like you think that something's wrong with me because I say I only love Black women. I will only love Hispanic, Native American women, the women of my race, the women of my stock, of my kindred, right? Go ahead and read. Well, read it from the top, Salakia.
Oh, come. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
So he said, don't make marriages with them. So we are not supposed to be marrying our other cultures, other people. Go ahead, I.
Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
The Lord said, don't give your daughter to his son. So what's a good example of that? A Black woman marrying a white man. What was her name? Serena Williams. What's another one? Eve married a white man, right? As a father, he said, don't give your daughter to their sons. Go ahead.
Nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Nor his daughter shall you take unto your son, right? So don't intermarry. Don't do it. The Lord never wanted us to mix. Why he didn't want us to mix? Keep reading.
Verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me.
They will turn away your son from following me. Like the example, the prime example is King Solomon, who had strange wives, and he started to worship other gods because of those wives, right? It like if a brother is with a sister, right? The things that she kind of like and she's into, he's going to pick up some of those things, right? A prime example is you might have a sister that she's a big Raiders fan, right? And you might be somebody that's not into football at all. But because she watches every game and she's always into it, before you know it, you're going to be cheering for the Raiders, right? Because you'll start to like what your significant other likes. So you should never mix cultures, because before you know it, you start serving her God. Now, what if your wife was an Asian woman and she worshiped Buddha? The next thing you know, now you worshiping Buddha, and now you're going against your God and your heritage, right? So you can drop that. So the point of me bringing this out is that we should realize that we was never supposed to mix with them. So give me Deuteronomy 23:6. Deuteronomy 23:6. What you need? Oh, go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23 and verse 6. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity.
The Lord said, don't seek their peace or their prosperity, these other cultures. Don't try to find favor with them. Like this brother right here, he tried to find favor with his white co-workers and seek their peace. Go ahead. Was that it on it? Go ahead.
All thy days forever.
All your days forever. What does that mean? That means don't try to seek their peace and their prosperity and try to have favor and get in good with them, right? When it's time to go home, you go home. Go to the hood. Salakia. Go home and hang with your brothers. Don't try to hang with Tanner and Chad and Tom. Don't do it, because something like this will happen to you. Like what happened to this brother. You can drop that out. Give me Ecclesiastes. Salaki, no. What do I want? I want Ecclesiastes 10, Ecclesiasticus 10 and 12. That's what I want. Give me that.
21 and 10.
Iron rusted. Is that what it is? Or is it 10 and 12? Never trust thine enemy. That's the one I want, if I'm remembering correctly. Ecclesiasticus 10 and 12. Never trust thine enemy. Let me make sure. It's 12 and 10. Salakia. I was saying 10 and 12.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy.
What?
Never trust thine enemy.
The problem is that Black and Hispanic people don't know who their enemy is. The nigga that live across the street is not your enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother that stepped on your Jordan is not your enemy. The sister that don't like your hairstyle is not your enemy. The sister that took your boyfriend is not your enemy. The so-called white man who brought you over here in chains in slavery and oppressed you and still is oppressing you to this day, that is your enemy. And that who you should never trust. Go ahead, Ak.
Okay. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
The Bible says, never trust thine enemy, for as like iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. You know, iron is like, I think iron might be a little microorganism that eats away at metal. And the metal might look good on the outside, but it's just eating away and it's still there. That's like the so-called white man. His wickedness is growing and growing, but you looking at him like he's changed. You're looking at him like, you know, Martin Luther King came and we in a post-racial society and me and Tad and Tanner and Chad and we're going to go out after work. And meanwhile, they're plotting to kill you. And then when they kill you, everybody covers it up because they stick together. And you didn't know that was your enemy, man. Read it from the top again.
Oh, God. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
So is his wickedness. And I'm a wrap it up with this. But you had the sister, what's that sister? The sister that met the white man off of social media, met up with him, and she wound up dead. Beautiful sister, another beautiful sister, wound up dead. Let me see. Anybody, if you could put it in anybody online, if you could put that in the chat, that the sister that was just found dead after meeting up, she met a white man online, and she was found. She supposedly died of being intoxicated and some drugs in her system, but she met this white man. God knows what for. I'm sure she didn't meet this white man to sit down and have a courtship. I'm sure of that.
Lauren Smith, sir.
Lauren Smith, the sister Lauren Smith. Let me pull her up. Let me pull her up real quick. Lauren Smith. Lauren Smith. This is the sister right here, right? This is the sister right here. Now, this sister met a man. She's in college. She met a man, and it's some greasy looking white man. Looks like a serial killer. So you know she did not meet this man to have a chat. I think they was at her apartment. He came to her apartment, and I believe one of the brothers put a post where this sister was she was talking down on black men. But that's neither here or there. The point is that this sister wasn't taught who her real enemy is. This sister wasn't given the wisdom and understanding to know who to deal with and who not to deal with. Well, I'm not going to even talk about why she was with him. I'm just going to talk about being comfortable around them by yourself, right? And there's plenty other stories. There's a story. Remember the sister that was at a slumber party and she ended up dead? She was with like 5 other white women. She ended up dead. And then there was the sister that was with the white boy. She ended up dead during the party at the bottom of the swimming pool, and nobody knew what had happened. This is what happens when we are not educated on who our real enemy is. And this is what happens when, we are not involved with our people. And in the ISUPK, we teach Black and Hispanics who you really are. We teach you that you're the children of God, man. And that's who you are, man. And you got to come back to these scriptures and learn the Bible, man. I weep and howl. We weep and howl for our brothers and sisters. We hurt. We hurt for our brothers and sisters that die like this because we know they should know better, but they don't because of Christianity and Christian pastors. They have never been taught. They have never been given this wisdom that you can only get in the ISUPK, that you have an enemy and you also have a brother. And the person that you think is your brother is really your enemy. And the person you think is your enemy is really your brother. With that, I'm going to pass the class to Priest and Officer Natazan. Let's clap it up.
And Israel and Mijam, don't stand and face the teacher. Don't give the teacher a courtesy salute. Men of Israel, and Mijam Shabbat, and Mijam, Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushua Barakatah.
Yajamatah, class assist.
Take the water out of here.